I was in two minds. Anyway, we'll record, since that is a request for students to be able to go back and replay. How long do we have to complete the midterm exam? So, Carly, the exam it's 40 multiple choice questions, and you have 40 minutes. There are several questions which will take you under 10 seconds to answer, or really, really quick. There are several questions which might take you more than a minute to answer, but on average, they will take you about a minute a question, no more than that. But you're going to have more than, in the sense that what I'm doing is the exam on Monday, I will open things up for 10:45 in the morning, because you will need to take a few minutes to set yourself up with the Lockdown browser. It might involve a download of the Lockdown browser if you have never used it. The download and installation took me this morning. I don't have a very, very fast internet connection. It's it's on the lower side of the speed spectrum, but it still took me about 5 minutes to do. But even so, if it's a new experience, then it might take a little more time. So even though your class starts only at 11:30 and the exam period is from 11:30 to 12:10, if you don't have a accessibility letter, I'm going to open things up at, I was thinking 10:45, but 11 would be sufficient. I'll open things up at 11, sign in for 11. If you need the Lockdown browser, you can go ahead and download that. And it kind of tells you what you're supposed to do. And it might do a webcam check to make sure it can spot you and spot your surroundings. So you may have to turn your laptop one way or the other, just to indicate that all surfaces are clear and free of reference material as you're attempting the exam. Steph?
Yeah, I have some questions related to the course content. I've got three, so maybe I'll just do one at a time and give people other opportunities to ask their questions.
Yeah, go ahead, Steph.
Okay, so the first one is, can you define and differentiate between conceptualization and operationalization?
So conceptualization is just making the concepts very clear. So let's say we are interested in knowing the relationship between education and income. So conceptualization is you say that the two concepts, education and income, positively correlate to each other, which basically means that the more education you have, you will make more money. So that's all very conceptual, but then it's not operationalized because you haven't defined what education is. So an operationalized measurement in that situation is number of years spent after high school in college or university versus income earned over, say, let's say 40,000. So now you've started to operationalize things, make it down that you can actually measure things. You make it more empirical when you operationalize.
Okay, thanks. Should I ask my other questions now or wait?
I have let's give me a minute. Give me 1 second. I have a comment in the text window. Okay, yeah, Steph, I don't see any other questions, so go ahead and ask your second question.
Okay, this is from chapter 5.
Yeah.
In the text, it talks about the need to operationalize concepts prior to data collection and qualitative studies. That confused me because I thought we were supposed to let the concepts emerge from the data.
Yeah, and so that's a little bit of a challenge, and I don't know why they said it that way, because the issue is in qualitative studies, what happens is oftentimes you are you're pulling out concepts from the interviews itself, but it depends on how you set the qualitative studies up too. So perhaps you have done an earlier qualitative study where you have already uncovered a bunch of concepts, and then what you're doing is you're uncovering, you're operationalizing it by defining what the variables are. For example, let's say the concept of loneliness. So you might have different things like individual feeling they don't meet enough people. That's, so that's measurable. Or a person feeling they don't receive enough phone calls in a day. Again, measurable, or they receive less than so many phone calls. So, or a person feeling they have only one or two friends in the world. These are all operationalized, even though the concepts themselves are being predefined in this case. So an initial qualitative study, you are trying to unravel concepts that come out of your interviews or from your text material. And perhaps in a subsequent study, you can actually have the concepts out there and start to get variables that you can measure. And I wish the textbook hadn't done it this way, because it makes people think that, well, it doesn't make any sense. You go and uncover concepts, but then, well, if you already have concepts, how does it work then? So it's yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have just one more, unless someone else wants to go. It's just, okay. I just noticed that there's this discrepancy between how construct validity was defined in the text versus the lecture. In the lecture, it was to do with feedback from participants in the study. In the text, it says it's about how well the variables relate to the theory used. So is it both?
Construct validity is how well it relates to theory being used, right? That's what your textbook says.
Yes.
Yeah, so member checking is also a measure of validity. So what I was talking about is it's also called member checking, because you actually have the participants get back to you on how valid a certain concept is. And what your textbook says is you're checking it back to theory to see how well it holds. It depends on what stage you're at. So for example, if there is a developed theory, then your theory is what you go back to. Oftentimes, if for first-time studies, you don't have a theory to go back to. So in those situations, if you don't have a theory to go back to, you will have to member check or check with the participants if this represents their concept accurately or not.
Okay, so yeah, so I mean, could member checking also be considered a part of internal validity?
100%.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. That was
No problem.
it.
Yeah, no problem. A couple comments in the text box. I'm just looking at that. Suzanne says the glossary is great for understanding terms. Yeah, 100%. Okay, I don't have any other comments or questions. I mean, just a reminder, your lecture period is from 11:30 to 12:50, but the exam on Monday will be open at 11. If I change the time and make it start even sooner, I will send an email to everybody before to let you know. I don't care if it takes you 5 minutes to get set up, and then you obviously get more time to use towards your exam. That's fine. I don't care. But I'm giving you a good 30-minute head start just in case your computer takes a little while to boot and everything. I'm just hoping people are already ready. Yeah, no problem. The other thing is if you have any letter, if I have any letter for you, that means you're not bound by the 40-minute recommended completion time. You can go ahead and take the entire lecture period in addition to any balance of the setup time that you have. And even if you don't have a letter of accessibility, it takes you more time to finish your exam, go ahead and complete the exam. If 40 minutes are over, it shouldn't It shouldn't take students. I attempted the exam, and of course it's different. Professor attempting the exam versus student attempting the exam, it's quite different. So I recognize that. It's you can do it relatively quickly. If it takes you more time, still go ahead and complete it. We'll figure out if there's going to be a penalty or not. I haven't decided that yet. It'll depend on how the entire class does. A couple of things to remember. I think these instructions will be there on your midterm as well. Is the questions are, you have 5 multiple choice questions per page. Once you complete a page, you can't go back to it. So if you don't know an answer, take a best guess and move forward. Okay, anything else? Yeah, the questions aren't in any order, so it doesn't mean that you're going to get chapter 7 last or chapter 1 first. They're all scrambled, and everybody will have a different order in how the questions come and how the answers are also. So, but not it's the content is not hard. It's everything that you've done in class. So there are no trick questions. Yeah, yes. Casey is asking, can we download the browser before Monday? Yes, I would recommend if you can do it today, that would be wonderful. Because once you have it, then when you go on D2L and you click to do the midterm, it'll just open your browser for you. And just remember, anytime you open the browser will try to shut down a whole bunch of communication devices from your computer to outside. So if you have like WebEx open or Zoom open or whatever it is, it'll ask you to shut those things down, or it'll do it for you. So yeah, if it does all these weird things. Yes, it is on D2L. You get the browser via D2L. So you go on to D2L. Let me see if I can show you how to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and say share my screen. I already did it, so I don't know if it'll do it for me, but we'll just try. Knockdown browser. So this is my D2L, what you're seeing, right? Getting started. This is all the stuff about D2L browser if you wanted more information. Chat window says, yes, it's usually pretty easy when you follow the instructions, Cassidy says. Yeah, it's nice. I didn't, like I said, it took me 5 minutes, but it is 5 minutes. 5 minutes is 5 minutes, okay? So I get that. So I think I already have it, so it won't let me do anything. But I think if you went in and the quiz will be accessible on Monday. So you can just go ahead and click the link, and then it should go ahead and direct you to go ahead and download the browser. And what I will also do, just for fun, is I'm going to stop share now. I'm going to put my cell phone number here. Well, the cell phone, will it help? It won't help. Like if it's a panic situation, don't worry about it if things don't work, but you can still call me. We can try to troubleshoot for you. I'll just give you a number. So just in case things go very badly with the browser, Cassidy says you can practice doing it a couple of days before just to feel more comfortable. That's what I normally do for my other courses. That's a great suggestion. Give me a second. So Arthika says she can't locate the browser. My guess is that because you're not yet trying to do the quiz isn't accessible to you yet. So that's why the directions to actually go ahead and download the browser don't show up. That's what I think. And what I would also suggest is don't try to, I think you have to have access to the quiz first, and then it walks you through the browser. And then you should be able to locate it and download it. That's what I had. That's the only time it pointed me in that direction. And keep in mind, because it goes through D2L, what D2L does is it makes the lockdown browser specific to Laurentian. So what does Momina say? Yeah, me too for my other courses. Momina, do you want to explain what you're saying? Oh, for your other courses, what does that mean? Like, do you have to wait only once it's quiz time? Okay, yeah. So that's the thing. So only when it's time, then it walks you through the browser. You can get the browser. Yes, you'll have to wait. You can get the browser outside of D2L, but the thing is, it's not customized to LU's D2L. So there are different problems associated with that. So I don't recommend that. Just wait till I'll yeah, just wait till your quiz time. There is sufficient time to be able to download and go through all of that. And I think it's only the first time that you do it, then after that you're all set. Otherwise, the other option is I can just set up a dummy quiz just so you can download your lockdown browser. Maybe I'll just do that right now. It'll be a 1-question quiz, but I'll make it go through lockdown so that you can get the browser. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, so you have a 1-question quiz, and I'm going to set it up with the lockdown browser, and all of you can, well, it'll cut off the Zoom link, but you can try it off after we all leave. And once we do that, if anybody didn't get their lockdown browser, let me know. So I'm going to say today is the 18th. So I'll say the 18th, and we'll say 2 p.m. Yeah, don't be nervous about. I'm still sorry. I apologize. I'm busy tapping away on my computer trying to create a dummy quiz of 1 question that everyone can use and essentially get the lockdown browser going. Okay, there we go. If you see any password requirement, the password is always the name of the course, GERO3127, okay? So just write that down in case, if you're nervous, you don't remember your settings. Okay, very good. So what I've done now is I have set up a 1-question quiz. It says a dummy quiz. It's already visible to everybody. Movina says, could you remind us the day as well of FastCode? Well, you can write it down right now. Here you go. So there's a dummy quiz now of 1 question. Wait till we all sign off. Go ahead, attempt the dummy quiz. Again, the password there is also Jero3127. That's also the answer to your multiple choice or your true and false question, or I think it's a yes or no question. So you just answer true. But what it does, it'll let you set up the Lockdown browser, let you get a little hands-on practice with it. So you're not uncomfortable. And also it kind of, if you're concerned about setup during the exam day, it'll help you regardless. Okay. And if for some reason, nothing works today for you, just send me a quick email, okay, saying, I went ahead and tried it, but it did not work. What do I do next? Okay. And if the problem is widespread, if it is the entire class, then we'll figure out a different way for you to respond to the quiz. If it's 1 or 2 odd people, then we will make different arrangements for them to be able to do it. Oh, Cassidy saying, I'm not sure if the Lockdown browser is working. It let me do the quiz and submit it. Yeah, I'm curious. Maybe it doesn't shut down Zoom. That's not comforting to me, but I'm assuming all of you will be very diligent and honest, and I won't have to worry if the Lockdown browser still lets you communicate through Zoom. I know it was shutting down other things when I tried to do it. I didn't have Zoom on at the time, so I had no way of testing, and I made the assumption that it would turn Zoom off to prevent copying. But Cassidy, thank you for testing that out. So the Lockdown browser is doing something. It's not working like I thought it would, but it let you do the quiz and submit good. It is open, the 1-question quiz. So since it is letting people do, you want to go ahead and go on to D2L and try it out just for fun. You can go ahead and do it. So we don't have to wait for you to try it later and send me an email that things aren't working. And that's probably because Cassidy has used Lockdown browser before, so it's probably there on our system. That's what I'm thinking. So that's probably why she didn't have to download. I definitely had to. I'm not, it depends. Casey says I'll have to try at home on my laptop as I'm listening from my phone while at work. Yeah, just go ahead and try it at home when you get there. And we know at least it's working for 1 person so far. Well, 2 people, myself included. But if all of you have a chance to go on to D2L now and just try it says dummy quiz on it. Krishnan, do you think you can give me another allowed attempt to see if it does the same thing? Yeah, I suppose. Let me see how that works. Okay. Cassidy, is it preventing you from making multiple attempts? Because I don't think I've blocked how many attempts you can have for the quiz. Tree, go ahead, please.
Okay, I just went in and tried it, and it did ask me to download the
Lockdown browser.
lockdown browser, and of course I didn't hit the button because I didn't want to start that right now while we're in Zoom, in case.
Just in case. Yeah, okay. So that's, yeah. So the only reason it worked right away for Cassidy is she's done it before, but it'll do what it's doing to Tree, which it did to me as well, which is it tells me to go ahead and download stuff. So yeah, it's not too bad. It'll take a few seconds to download and a couple seconds to install. Then you should be all right. And just agree with everything. Don't disagree with the lockdown browser, because just because you don't understand what it's asking you, it's just trying to shut off any ways that you can communicate outside of the exam. But I mean, obviously it's not rigged to prevent Zoom. Mine was okay. So Mamina downloaded it. It asks you to close the application so it can open. Yeah. Okay, super. Thank you, Mamina. That's typically what I experienced as well. Misha?
Mine just asked me to update the lockdown browser that I had already installed. It just asked me to update it. So
oh, super.
yeah,
Okay.
it's really easy.
Yeah. So it depends on your previous experiences. If you've used lockdown before, it might ask you for an update. It might do nothing, like in Cassidy's case, or in Misha's case, it just did update. Tree and Mamina experienced that it asked them to essentially shut things off or to download or whatever. So each one's experience is going to be different. But if you do the one question quiz at any point today, you should be able to get the lockdown browser itself. So that concern is out of the window. Then it's all up to you going through the process, whatever it asks you to do. So the lockdown browser is one thing, and there's another thing called the Respondus monitor, which is the camera thing, which it's basically asks you to be present on camera and do whatever it is. So hence you have the additional time. Yeah, and I think it should work. It's been working for a long time quite well. I used to use a different platform to test my students before, but I figured we'd test this one out too. I used something called Socrative before. Some of my students have taken previous courses with me, have used that. But Socrative doesn't have all the security features that the Respondus lockdown browser has. So we'll go ahead and use that. All right, I'm not getting too many questions at the moment. Otherwise, how's everybody doing? I mean, we're getting to the end of the semester. We have half of it on the midterm and the other half on the final exam. Hopefully people have gotten a lot out of this course and experienced different things. You may not remember everything you learned. Cassidy, go ahead.
I'm just curious to know if anyone else has gotten first dose of the vaccine. Because I have, and I'm not feeling all that great.
I've gotten mine, Cassidy.
How do you feel?
I feel good. When I got it, I had a headache for the night, but I took an Advil, but my arm was sore, just like a normal flu shot. And I also felt really tired for the day and the following day. But other than that, like, I'm good. What about
I've
you?
also had mine with no reactions, and that was over 2 weeks ago.
Misha?
Yeah, I got my vaccine too. And we actually had a town hall meeting at work yesterday. And Tree can maybe correct me if I'm wrong here with the statistics, but 90% of the residents at Extended Care York have been vaccinated with their first dose, and over 80% have had both doses.
Oh, good. Good.
And over 2/3 of our staff have also been vaccinated.
Wow.
With their first dose, not their second. We go in for our second dose. I go in April 1st.
Yeah, I mean, all of you are frontline, right? So that, yeah, I think it should have happened sooner, but that's good whenever it's still occurred. A couple of my physician friends didn't do so well. They had flu-like symptoms, and one of them had to take a few days off because they felt like they were fighting the flu. Yeah, so it's everyone, the response is different, and depending on the vaccine. Artika says first dose I had chills and tiredness. The second dose I had light flu symptoms. Yeah, there you go. That's what I'm hearing, but I've also heard different things. Cassidy says I heard the second dose is 10 times worse. Mine is April 3rd, around that time frame. Oh man. Well, you all stay safe. Get your doses. I don't think I'm getting mine till September or later. So I'll just hide in my basement. Artika says, prepare to take a day or two off of work. That is my recommendation. Jeez. Yeah. No, I hear you. I mean, it's the symptoms in flu are the immune response, right? So, and in this case, you are triggering the immune response. So it is very well within the realm of expectations for a good vaccine. Misha?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, I was speaking to registered staff at work, and one thing that they really do stress to us is like, do your own research for whether or not you think the vaccine is right for you. But when it does come your turn to get the vaccine, if you do want it, take it. Don't think that you're taking it from somebody else who might need it more, because that's just not how the system works. And every day they throw out vaccines because of how they have to be kept. If they don't use it, they have to throw it away. So when it's your turn, just get it if that's what you think is best for you, because you're not taking it away from everybody else. And I just thought that that was a really good point that she made.
That is a very good point. And I'll tell you, as a trained microbiologist and virologist, I'll tell you, as a disease control person, take the vaccine. I've read the research that's out there. If you're getting the vaccine, and unless you have a condition that prevents you from taking the vaccine, just take it, even if it makes you feel miserable. Take it, take the rest, take the vaccine. It just prevents you from also being an asymptomatic carrier as well. So you're doing obviously safe things for yourself, but you're also helping out your community. Yeah. So will you have an adverse reaction? Will any person have an adverse reaction? Yeah, there's a slight possibility, but it's just like research ethics. The benefits outweigh the harm quite significantly. So on the off chance that you're one in the 100,000 that has an adverse reaction, well, what do you do? I mean, we take more risk doing many day-to-day things that we aren't even aware of, just like crossing the street, like driving our cars. Driving our cars in Sudbury can be a dangerous experience. With the pandemic and lockdown, it's safer, but can be. Cassidy says, "That okay, yeah, take rest, don't stress yourself, and Tylenol." Okay, good. All right. Well, all of you stay safe, stay healthy. 2 more days, well, 3 more days till your midterm. You'll all feel a lot better once your midterm is over, because that's the hard exam for this course. The final is the last 7, and that tends to be relatively easy. So, and even this one isn't hard. This one isn't, when I say it's the harder test, it's not actually hard. It's just harder, but still easy. Yeah, enjoy the spring. Tree.
Will the final exam encompass the entirety of
No, the final exam will be chapters
course?
8 through 14.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah. Because of them being so close, I see no added benefit. Well, I guess you could argue both ways. You could say, well, I mean, since you're already well prepared for the first half, you might as well have it cumulative. And I could see the other argument saying, well, you've just shown me that you can do the first half, and there's been no gap. So there's really no added benefit in retesting for exactly the same concepts, right? So we'll do the
Right.
second half.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. All right, well, if there's nothing else, you're all free to leave, and good luck to everybody. Again, you have my phone number in case anything happens on Monday. One kind person has offered to test run the exam a little bit before. I won't identify who it is, but thanks to that person. Steph says thanks very much. Thank you. You're more than welcome. Thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
You're welcome, and good luck,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much.
All
Thank you.
right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Cassidy.